Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Candid Convos. Today's guest is Alejandra Moreno. Alejandra, thank you for joining us. Alejandra, can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. My name is Alejandra Moreno. I'm a partner at Casale Moreno. We're a small boutique firm in Coral Gables, and we focus on estate planning, guardianships, and probate.
Mm-hmm. Now, Alejandra, one of the main reasons why we also host this podcast is to see what's the typical lawyer growth path looking like, and also what are the different tips and tricks you have for growing a firm. So, but I'd like to start like in a very gentle way. So, first question, and pretty much my favorite question at this point, why did you want to become a lawyer?
So I did not want to become a lawyer. I never thought I would be a lawyer. When I graduated from college, I went from a very small private Catholic school to a very, very big public state college. So I was very overwhelmed with that experience. I chose a major that was a lot of fun, I suppose. And when it was time to graduate, it was almost a recession coming up. And my stepdad said, are you planning on being a sociologist or an Italian speaker? Because that's what I majored in. And I said, I don't even really know what a sociologist is. And he said, look, the economy is getting really bad. Why don't you go to law school? And I said, I'm not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. I'm not even very argumentative. And he said, when there's a recession, the best thing to do is study. So go to law school. A JD never hurt anybody. So I took the LSAT. I went to law school. And then I started my first job outside of law school. It was still kind of the recession. Not a lot of people were hiring. And this very, very old man hired me. He gave me a great opportunity. And I, by chance, fell in love with this field of law. So the whole entire journey was just very serendipitous.
Okay, so I gotta ask, what different aspects, or is there anything specific that you fell in love with when it came to practicing law or just the law itself?
So the older gentleman that I worked for was he's considered a legal legend in Miami, Osvaldo Soto. He actually passed away a few years ago. And he did practice this estate planning, guardianship, and probate field, which is known as elder law. My father passed away when I was very little. I've dealt with a lot of death in my life, and I've understood it from a very young age. So naturally, when I started dealing with probate clients, and people were coming to me at a very vulnerable time, very emotional, I very naturally was able to comfort them, but also handle their case while keeping in mind, that they were very sensitive, all of the things they were going through. So I think it's just because of things that I dealt with in my life, it was a very easy role to come into. And because I was good at it, I started to like it. I started excelling in the field. So I did absolutely fall in love with it.
The fact that not only you molded yourself into what you wanted to become, but you're also helping people in your company also understand that mold, because that's actually what works. I think that's a very strong way of leading a company. I'm wondering, I was also wondering, because you touch on so many important subjects just in the last how you handled the pandemic, how other people handled the pandemic, how maybe that changed things or even probably multiplied your work by a lot. There was a very big emotional toll on everybody going on at the time. How was that transition for you? I'm wondering, were you 100% in-house? Were you hybrid? Were you virtual? Did you struggle at all during those moments? Because I'm guessing your workload increased exponentially when this happened. So how was the transition phase for you guys?
So there was a time of unknown. Obviously, the whole entire world had this time of unknown, and we kind of had all hands on deck of how are we going to make this work. And there were people that felt better working from home. And as long as, we're all adults, right? So as long as everybody was able to fulfill their responsibilities to the firm and to the client, we were very understanding. Me, for example, I have 2 small kids. I could not work from home. Once the schools closed, I was like, this is not going to happen in my tiny house. So I continued to go to my building every single day, even though I was the only one there. It was like a ghost town. I wouldn't see clients, nobody was coming to the office, but I felt better working at the office. My partner has a great setup at home. He's like, Ale, I don't want to go to the office. I feel better at home. So he decided to stay home. Once the court decided to go online, everything was Zoom, then we had to, have a meeting. How are we going to structure this so that nothing falls to the cracks, but we're able to continue to service the clients in a very expeditious way? Not only that, clients were not coming to the office because nobody was going anywhere. Everybody was home. So how do we make it easier for the clients to get us documents? We had a courier on staff for a while so that we could have clients leave their documents at their doorstep and it would come to the office. And we made sure to respect everybody's, comfort level. We hired an associate who, after the pandemic, said that she wanted to work from home. And my first reaction was, but the pandemic is over. And she said, yes, Alejandra, but you have to understand, I did a year of law school remote. I studied for the bar remote. I took the bar remote. So I feel very comfortable at home. That's where I concentrate best. And I said, all right, then you're going to be remote. But now there are clients coming into the office. Can you come to the office several times a week? Yes, absolutely. And we've been able to make that work. Actually, we were able to be fully remote, even though I was physically in the office. And because of that, my husband got a great opportunity to move out of state. So I spent almost a year working remote out of state, and nobody found out. Nobody knew. My colleagues didn't know. My friends didn't know. Nobody knew that I did not live in Florida. Nobody's case was delayed. Everything was done on time and it worked. And because of the pandemic and learning how to work remote, we were able to take advantage of this opportunity and then go back to Miami in a year and nobody even noticed that I was gone. So it's interesting. When I started practicing, going to court several times a week, having coffee with opposing counsel, we were able to resolve a lot of cases over un cafecito, as we say in Miami. And the pandemic hit and we didn't see each other, and new attorneys jumped on board because there were a lot of debts. So a lot of attorneys wanted to start doing probate. There were litigation and I couldn't get somebody on the phone because I didn't know you personally. The probate field usually has been very, very small. So when we have a case against each other, we pick up the phone and call. And that did not happen for several years. So, we've learned to work with the obstacles that we've had, but I tried to see the pandemic as an opportunity, like an opportunity to innovate, an opportunity to take on, new experiences that might not have been available a year or two ago. And I think it's absolutely helped us learn how to grow without having to have that traditional expense, traditional overhead.
Being able to realize what you're capable of with technology and with pretty much all of the resources at hand. Now, you mentioned when growing a law firm, you got to take a look at your expenses, at your overhead, also how people are working with you. And during this whole time, there was something very strange going on in the United States, at least for people in my shoes, like people working from offshore, not in the United States, not physically located. A great resignation. And it's something that's still going on because people no longer want to be working either 100% in-house, or they started to notice that they could become very profitable, they can become very successful while working from home. Some people even have to set limits for themselves because, hey, if you overwork yourself at the office, it's easier overworking yourself at home because you don't log off. You don't separate at all.
Right.
So you start figuring out how that works. And that's when I believe we met. That's when we also, like you as a law firm, we as a company that provides virtual assistants for pretty much every type of attorney. That's when we kind of met. So I'm wondering, when you started getting staffed up with virtual assistants, did you already figure out how to work remotely, or was that part of that mix as well?
So our first get staffed upper, we hired her about 6 years ago. So before the pandemic, and she is a legal assistant. She's in the Philippines. I think Get Staffed Up doesn't even source out of the Philippines anymore. And she is such a humongous part of our family, and she has grown so much with us, and she has been such an inspiration to us. She lives in a very, very small town in the Philippines, and she actually turned 30 this year with us, and we celebrated her birthday. It was awesome. Even if it was virtual, we already knew how to celebrate virtually thanks to the pandemic. But she told us something so amazing, and with this great resignation that you're talking about, and I am a true believer in mindset. I think the mind is very powerful. So she told us, I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of your family. Where I live, only politicians have very big, expensive houses. And thanks to the growth that I have experienced with Casale Moreno, I now have a house as big as the richest politicians in my town. She's like, I now am saving up for a car, and where I live, women do not drive. So because of all of the growth that she's experienced in the last 6 years, she is fulfilling her own dreams from afar. And I know that we all have a different mentality, everything that we've gone through in the pandemic, but you see people like this that are dedicated, they're hardworking, they grow slowly but surely, and the things that they are able to achieve just blow our minds. Something as simple as driving a car, which for us, here, any 15, 16-year-old can drive. And this girl turned 30 and she finally bought her own car. So, Get Staffed Up has a lot of very beautiful stories like this of people that, even though we've never met in person, they have become part of our family. They have provided immense value to our firm, but we have also provided immense value to them. And sometimes we don't even know until they tell us. So Get Staffed Up has been a huge part of our growth. It's been an enormous opportunity for us. And after having that first Get Staffed Upper, we got another one because it worked out so well. So our meetings that used to be in a conference room are now on Zoom or on Teams because we have our firm spread out all over the world thanks to Get Staffed Up. And living in Miami, we have a lot of Spanish speakers. So we have, Get Staffed Uppers that speak not just Spanish, but maybe some French or maybe some Portuguese. And it's been amazing to integrate them into our firm. And we have so many clients that when they ring our doorbell, they say, oh, where's your receptionist? And I don't want to say they're not here. They've brought us gifts before for our receptionist.
Oh.
Because our Get Staffed Upper is so nice that these people just fall in love with this person over the phone. So it's been pretty wild to have people in different time zones working with us, and it's so seamless that our clients don't even know.
Just one last thing. Can you please let people know where they can find you and what you can do for them?
Absolutely. So our website is casalemoreno.com. We're on Facebook. We're on all the Twitters, Instagram, everything at casalmoreno.com. We have a newsletter with just monthly events, what's going on around the world in the probate world. And of course, we're always happy to help. We're always happy to help anybody that's in need. Alejandra Moreno and Julian Casal of Casale Moreno.
Thank you very much to both of you. And again, thank you for sharing your story. A lot of insight in there. I don't know why, but I am profoundly moved by the way that you develop and you continue helping people and how you frame things in your personal and professional life and how this expands to others. So thank you for your work.
Thank you. I'm glad to share my unexpected journey to success with you.
Thank you, Alejandra, and see you in the next episode, guys.